My name is Meenal Hajratwala, and my book is called Leaving India, My Family's Journey from 5 Villages to 5 Continents. And it is the story of one family, my family, and how we migrated out of India all over the world over the past 100 years. My family started in northwest India in the state of Gujarat, and now my cousins are in 9 countries all over the world, so the book started with my curiosity about how that happened. My hope is that a lot of people from a lot of different communities would enjoy the book. I think that as Americans, most of us have immigration somewhere in our family histories, and there's a way that we are all citizens of some diaspora or another. The second chapter is where the migration stories really start. It starts with my great-grandfather, whose name was Motiram, and he left India in 1909. He went to Fiji, where he was a tailor, and he set up a small tailoring shop, which many years later, through his sons, became the largest department store in the South Pacific. Chapter 4 is the very first chapter that I wrote. It's about my grandfather, who was a political activist, and he marched with Mahatma Gandhi against the salt tax in India. In my chapter, I talk about understanding myself as a migrant, which is something that I didn't really think of before I started writing this book. We actually lived in New Zealand when I was a child. Then we moved back when I was 7 to Michigan. And so I really had an immigration experience. And then as a young adult, I had another experience of coming out, which I have come to think of as another kind of migration from one world into another. So this little section is about my first lesbian kiss. She came back to my dorm room afterward. In the spirit of mutual support, she asked if I would help her by mirroring the affirmations that her therapist had prescribed. "You deserve love," she said. "You deserve love," I repeated. "I love you," she said. "I love you," I whispered. It was becoming very intense. I had never even kissed a girl, as I confessed to her earlier in the evening. And yet here I was saying I love you, except the I and the you were both her, not me. I also hope that it will be a great story for people of my generation who are first or second generation Americans who are interested in what brought us here and what was going on in the world that made our families move here, that made our families leave everything and come here. In chapter 6, I talk about my parents. My parents came to the United States in the 1960s. They were part of the brain drain generation. But perhaps our stories are not so small after all. For even as I write this, I see the whole sweep of history, the epic of my people. And this too is what I want to say. The real story of our diaspora began long, long ago and continues even now.